Hello and welcome to the Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, mocks of the week and a few reading recommendations as well. Information is presented as always by setdb.org, the best source for set information on the internet. And this is where we're going to go. Actually, like last week, we do not have any new features in the setdb to announce. However, next of course to all the data updates that we did like every week, we are getting better and better with our data set. We did work behind the covers a lot again last week on performance, so hopefully some of you, at least on mobile, should recognize this. But however, like I said last week, if you do see any glitches on the site, just let me know. By the way, next to dropping an email, there's actually a link around help and support. You can send me an email to support@merlinsbricks.com, but just put a YouTube comment below the video if you have any problems on the site, something that did work before and is now not working anymore. I mean, please, you can send me anything that doesn't work, but I just wanted to let you know there's a lot of stuff that you do not immediately see on the site, but a lot of stuff has been changed behind the curtains. Anyhow, we are now moving in, and as always, we are starting in alphabetical order through the brands with BlueBrixx, and here we have the Bavarian Alpine hut announcement, the 106668 by BlueBrixx. It's pretty tiny little house here, 559 pieces, and like the name suggests, it is kind of an architecture that is quite common over here in Central Europe, in the Alpine region, like Austria, Bavaria, Switzerland, something like that. It is a pretty simple set. I mean, it has less than 600 pieces. The back wall is open, so from my point of view, this is a play set. However, it does have, let's say, a certain robustness and a certain old school to it, because everything is bricked. I mean, if Lego would do the set, they would throw in like half a dozen panels in order to save material, but I think this one is built in a pretty robust manner. It has a decent roof using, how much is that, 35 slopes, I do believe. And yeah, I think it looks quite nice. I mean, the pure 100% masonry brick look is not for everyone, but I think it works here because the house is small enough. But there's also quite some detail in there, including a bunch of chickens, which is quite cool. Anyhow, moving forward to the next announcement, minifigure pack, Voyage of the Astronomer, the 108006. So obviously this is designed to work with the BlueBrixx astronomer line, so no matching record phone. I don't know, I think this is actually okay. This is, I guess, one of the glitches. That's very unfortunate, but it did work here, didn't it? Yeah. So we had, of course, the Astronomer Lighthouse, and now we have the Astronomer's Mansion and Power Plant announced. So this is quite a lineup. And then there is the Astronomer's Planetarium. So you have these 4 behemoth sets. Each of those is beyond 5,000 pieces. So I guess the goal here is to have awesome minifigure lineup. So these are BlueBrixx's own minifigures, if in case you have never seen those before. However, what I personally do not know is like, what are these minifigures like? Obviously, these are characters, but I guess there's a story behind that. Don't know what the story is, but nevertheless, quite cool. Actually, the most interesting question is, who's the astronomer? Anyhow, by the way, if you want to know what the Voyage of the Astronomer is in German, it's Reise des Astronomen. Anyhow, the 108006. With that, we are moving on to the Eccentric Scientist. So this is again one of these BlueBrixx brick buddies, the 108309. And again, my lack of knowledge around popular culture is quite obvious here because I have no idea who this is. I mean, I have a couple of idea. No, I have no idea, let's be honest. Anyhow, it is a brick buddy, so please let me know in the comment section in case you know who this is supposed to be. It must be somebody from popular culture, but I just don't know. The Eccentric Scientist, the 108309, it has 345 pieces. It is roughly 15 centimeters in height, or 6 inches. I hope I got this right. Again, for those of you who are familiar with both systems, I hope I did the formula correct here, but I think 6 inches should be fine. So these are not tiny actually, they are a bit bigger than, for instance, a typical Lego brickhead is, the BlueBrixx Brick Buddies. And with that we're moving on to the next set, the 108-310. This one belongs to the other one. It's now the grandson of the eccentric scientist. 244 pieces only. I think the scientist itself had almost 100 pieces more, so a lot more detail. This one here is much simpler. And by the way, here also, if you look at the stud count, you can see the difference to Lego's brickheads, right? The brickheads are 4x4 and these are 6x6. So they're actually quite larger, like almost twice as big as a brickhead is. And yeah, here you go. Another brick body where I don't know what the origin is. And then we have the saloon car, the Pullman tiny house, the 108-308. So my understanding is that the idea here is that you have a train car that has been refitted to be a tiny home, which is a pretty nice idea. I mean, I would actually, to be honest, I would love to have one of those. I mean, I do have 4 kids, so I guess it's not going to work, but it may work, you know, for retirement, something like that. It looks really, really beautiful. I have no idea if this thing has like a reference in real life. It might. This may be even something that is very well known to train enthusiasts, but I actually have no idea what this is. But I think it doesn't matter. It looks quite beautiful. 1,460 pieces, so this thing is not going to be small. And as always with BlueBrixx, during announcement time, we don't know the price point yet. The BlueBrixx announces the prices with set availability. With that, we're moving on to roadside assistance, 108-311. So this is typical road assistance over here in Germany, but I think in other European countries it looks similar with these yellow cars that look almost like a cap. In Germany, the organization behind that is called ADAC, Allgemeiner Deutscher Automobil Club. So like General Club of Automotive Drivers, something like that, would be a rough translation. I don't know what the official translation is. Anyhow, these guys, they are called actually over here in Germany Yellow Angels. They are driving around and helping you out. Of course, you have to be a member, but I guess that is the same thing for most countries. And then they have also a couple of additional pieces like on the side of the road. So I don't know if you have a lot of roads in your brick-built city and some of your drivers may need some assistance, this car may be for you. The set has 329 pieces. It is, BlueBrixx has 26 centimeters in length. I guess that is the car. It is kind of a 6-stud to 8-stud design, so relatively small. I mean, it's like a 6-stud speed champion, I guess, in Lego and Lego terminology. But yeah, it looks quite nice actually. And with that, we're moving on to a couple of availabilities. Let's go through them quite briefly because it's basically the diamond block pads. Keep in mind, because the price point looks really, really cheap, like 1.1 cents a piece. These are diamond blocks, so these things are really tiny, like unbelievable tiny. I mean, I've built once a couple of very small of these sets, like 30-40 pieces, and it was, I don't know, it was more something for my kids, for kids' fingers. So these are really, really small. And yeah, BlueBrixx has now available 6 of these, I do believe. We have the meerkat. We have the fox, we have the tabby cat, we have the llama, we have the penguin, the Shiba Inu, which is a dog, I guess, and the tiger, which is the largest one. And the tiger is around 35 euros for 3,876 pieces. So if you're short on, let's say, space or a budget, I mean, these diamond block sets are amazing because if you look like how much build time you get per euro or per dollar, this is the way to go for sure, right? I mean, almost 4,000 pieces for 35 bucks. So you will spend some time on this one. And as far as I can tell, it's even slower to build these because the pieces are so tiny. Anyhow, all of them are available over here in Europe. But by the way, because I get this asked from time to time, to my knowledge, BlueBrixx is shipping to North America as well. Obviously, then you have to add, I don't know, customs and import tax and all this kind of stuff. I'm not that familiar with that, but just as an FYI. With that, we're moving on to Funhole, and here officially the antique store, the newest large set from them, the 9033, is not yet available. However, I mean, it is available from some retailers like Bowie in this case, but I think Funhole will start shipping by end of this week. However, as you can see, a lot of metadata is now available, so including the manuals. So if you want to look into the instruction to, you know, take a look like how this thing is going to be built. And there's also a ton of metadata, and we do have this data because I've already built it a couple of days ago. Actually, I will publish a review. First, there will be the full video. This is only in German, of course, this week, and then hopefully a short, maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So keep your eyes out, or a TikTok for that matter. Anyhow, I mean, I have built it. It is a beautiful house. The lighting is amazing, especially behind these colored windows. But the big but is that, I mean, the same company who's doing these funnel sets is also doing electric retrofit solutions for Lego modular buildings. And you might think, because this is their own building and it's designed with electrics in mind, and in fact there's a ton of custom pieces in there to make basically so that you can have it a lot, in theory, easier time to put your cables in there. And this is true to a certain, so there are a lot of, like, in quotes, hollow bricks as part of the set that are just designed for cabling. In theory, a good idea. In practice, I must say, the big issue is, first of all, that this is not a very robust system. So the retrofit systems like BlueBrixx and lighttailing, from my point of view, work a lot better. I guess it's a question of taste, but I had a lot of issues here, like when I put up one floor or remove a floor, that these plugs that are specially designed for these funnel sets are basically not disconnecting correctly. They are detach themselves from the studs, but they don't detach, you know, between the different plugs. So this is actually quite dangerous, because if you go too fast, you may basically destroy your cabling or the cables, or, you know, do some harmful damage to them. So in my point of view, not the perfect system. I still prefer the retrofit / BlueBrixx lighttailing system that they do for Lego. But anyhow, it is a beautiful house, that is for sure. A really nice, beautiful design, and the lighting, of course, is astonishing, as it is always with Funhole. I mean, they really know their stuff when it comes to lighting. But the building itself, plus the entire construction, is not very robust. So this is one of the more fragile modulars I have built so far. With that, we're moving on to Lego. And here we have announcements for the new big Technic sets. I mean, there have already been a couple of announcements, like a couple of months ago, for Technic sets. Like, I don't know, for instance, of course, the Team New Zealand yacht, the NASA Apollo Lunar, or for instance, the Volvo FMX truck. But now the big ones are coming, like McLaren P1 42172. This bad boy is having 3,893 pieces. So this is not a small one. This is a new big supercar, like the successor of the Ferrari Daytona. And yeah, Lego is asking for $450. As always, over here in Europe, we have also this set also coming to retail, and a couple of discounts are already available to us. In fact, I pre-ordered one over here from a European retailer, and I think I paid like 330 euros. That's far below the 450. However, at least over here in Europe, the situation is that this set will be exclusive for a month. So it will start at lego.com at August 1st, and September 1st, it will go to retail. I don't know how it is in other regions of the world, but this is at least the situation over here in Europe. Anyhow, let's talk about the car. I mean, there's already, as you can see, a ton of reviews out there, like New Elementary, Brothers Brick, Alex, and Racing Brick. So that also means, I mean, this is already quite a number. So yeah, Lego is pushing hard on the marketing side of things for this one. So that's why a lot of recognized fan media get this set. So that's always, I think, an interesting information, like what Lego thinks, how much they need to invest in order to push this thing. And yeah, I mean, it's quite expensive. So I guess that makes sense. And it is, I mean, as far as I can tell from here, it is a beautiful set. Like I said, I intend to build it. And especially, I'm really astonished that these relatively small amount of blue pins that you can see. I mean, look at this thing from here. You almost from every angle never see more like 3 to 4. On the inside, I think the situation is different, but from the outside, it looks quite cool, which is very good news. I mean, Lego has messed up a lot of Technic sets, in my point of view, because all these blue pins basically are ruining the experience. And on the inside, it is decent, let's put it that way. But of course, you have all the Lego qualities like these amazing rims, the printed plaque, which is quite interesting. It's not a glossy one, so I think they have reverted that course like they said they would. So it was, I think, a one-time thing with the Tie Interceptor this year. But yeah, I think it is a beautiful design. Really looking forward to build it. As I am also looking forward to build this bad boy, this G500 Mercedes-Benz Professional Line 42177. This thing is going to have 2,891 pieces. So that's also not a small one. List price or recommended retail price is $250, both over here in euros as well as in dollars US. And of course, British pound and Canadian dollars follow accordingly. And as you can also see here, this will also go to retail. In fact, I have pre-ordered it, I think also for around $200, maybe slightly below that. But that again is our European situation as always, where we see discounts quite early in the product life cycle. Anyhow, this thing will release August 1st, both as at lego.com as well as in retail. And I mean, the color is kind of special for such a rough vehicle, or rough terrain vehicle, I should rather say, or rugged vehicle. But I think I can live with that. It has these amazing tires and rims, which look pretty cool. You have all these Mercedes prints, but also you have quite a number of stickers, unfortunately. I mean, you have stickers on the outside, the licensing plate is a sticker, which I think I can live with. But what I really don't like is that all the instruments on the inside are also stickers as well. This should not be the case in a set in that price point. I mean, look at many of Lego's competitors are doing a much better job. I just recently built a Kobe 1x12 car, and there's no sticker in this one, and piece quality is the same as with Lego. So Lego really needs to up their game when it comes to prints or pad printed stuff. But next to that, looks quite nice. But yeah, let's see. I intend to build it. Then they have announced that they will release in August the message board for 1839. So yeah, I mean, this is a thing where you can build basically messages or, characters out of Lego bricks, which is, I think it looks quite nice. And there are also a couple of interesting building techniques. And I think it could be a lot of fun. This thing actually, if you could get this one with a good, nice discount, this could also be be interesting for part out, because look at the pieces that are in there. There's a ton of Technic stuff in there, which at least I, for my Star Wars stuff, always need. I never have enough Technic because it's so goddamn expensive, but you really need it in order to bring structure into your stuff. But in general, I mean, look at the coloring, it's quite nice. So these are really good pieces. However, I guess I would wait for hopefully a couple of discounts going forward. But yeah, I think it is a nice idea. The message board 41839 by Lego. And then the current gift with purchase, I will come to that in a second. The candy store 40692. So this is of course not a regular set. I mean, Lego is always putting a sticker to it, or like a price sticker. But so they're basically saying this thing is worth $20 in the US, but I don't know. I mean, I think it's fair. It's a fair price point. I actually do believe Lego would ask for more if they would sell this thing. But anyhow, it is a gift with purchase. I think at least over here in Europe, it's 200 euros. I guess it is the same in the US in dollars. With that, we're moving on to Mould King, the Flying Dutchman 13197. So this is interesting. This is not the first time that they have done a pirate ship or a ghost ship like this. They have already in the market the 13138, and now this is the 197. So the old one had 3,700 pieces roughly, and this one here is now almost 4,400. So this is quite a lot larger, plus it looks like it doesn't have the stand that the predecessor has. So my guess is it's, in a nutshell, just bigger and larger and has more pieces, but I don't know. It is a new one, it is bigger, so if that is enough for you, here you go. Mould King in themselves, they are asking for $170. Again, as always, when I talk about these sets, keep in mind, shipping may really depend on your region. I mean, many of these brands are not like Lego, where, you know, Lego.com is basically in almost every country. This is not the case here, depending on where you live, of course. Your mileage may vary, but long story short, Mould King is asking for $170. That's 3.8 cents a piece. These are BlueBrixx pieces, so these are not shabby. And then another alternative could be Bauer, partner of mine, Chinese retailer. They are asking for $140. Again, these prices are examples with, in case of Bauer, shipping into Germany. Anyhow, moving on to the Mould King Lichen, the 13190. I did forget what the reference here is by means of the real car. My apologies. But anyhow, it's a 1x8 Technica, with 4,070 pieces. So roughly comparable to the McLaren P1 by Lego. However, Mould King is asking only for $177. So that's less than half. Like, that's even with discounts in Europe, it's less than, it's around half. It's almost like a third. So that is the big difference. Obviously, Lego has a license. Lego has at least a couple of prints in there. Mould King usually never does any printing, with very few exceptions. So keep that in mind. But I assume it's BlueBrixx Technic pieces, which are quite good. This is a design by SKC Lego, by the way. And yes, I do not have any more pictures right now. And by the way, $176 is not what Mould King is asking for. This is what one of my partners, Bowie in this case, is asking for. So I do not have. That's also why I don't have any additional pictures, because Mould King has not listed this set on their own site, as is the case with the race, the 10031. So it's a design again by Firas Abuyaba, who is collaborating or has been collaborating with Mould King for quite some time. And this is, I guess, a Rolls-Royce Phantom race, I guess, or Rolls-Royce race Phantom. I don't know. I'm not really a petrolhead. Anyhow, 1,603 pieces. And you can buy this bad boy in China for around $55. And with that, we're moving on to a couple of sets where I do have to fix the naming. So these, obviously, there are some names in here that have a copyright, I'm pretty sure, because Reobrix does not have a license. So I'm still in the process of fixing the names. Actually, when you see this video, hopefully this is already fixed. Anyhow, over here in Europe, a lot of 1x24 cars, i.e. that what Lego usually calls the Speed Champion, is now available over here in Europe. So the 803, 808, 809, 812, and 804. All 5 are between 330 and 400 pieces and will cost you over here in Europe between $13 to $15. As always, keep in mind, over here in Europe, that means including tax. So yeah, for those of you who are into like Lego Speed Champions or cars in similar size, this may be for you. With that, we're moving on to Top Toy. And here we have the Sanrio Happy Weekend series. At least that's the name I know of this set. It's a 1709, and as far as I can tell, it's Hello Kitty. So my kids have never really been into Hello Kitty, so I don't know how authentic this stuff is, but it looks gorgeous. I mean, come on. I'm a big fan of these cars. I don't even know. I mean, this is Kuromi and Melody. So I guess also 2 of the many characters of Sanrio. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of these cars. To my knowledge, Top Toy has a license for that. And they look, I don't know. I just can't get enough of them. For whatever reasons, I have decided these are amazing. But I did show them to my wife, and she agreed these are amazing. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to a couple of offers, or not just a couple, basically one. I mean, I published also one on the Amazon Prime Days, but this really depends on where you live, if your Amazon is participating in that. But over here in Europe, we have Amazon Prime Days, and especially Amazon DE is having a ton of interesting discounts. Also on many, let's say, Chinese brands like Funhole and Fantasy. So maybe check out your own Amazon store and see if the Prime Days are currently going, and A, and B, if what the offers are and if there are a couple of interesting ones. And anyhow, Lego over here, I mean, worldwide, Lego did counter this with double insider points, or Lego Insiders Days, or whatever they call it. So you get double insider points. Like I said, you have a gift with purchase starting from $200. And at least over here in Europe, let me just confirm this also in the English version. I think there was also an interesting offer that I at least participated in, World of Wonders. So one of the insiders things, one that you can buy for insiders points, as actually you can now save 50%. So get this one for 1,350 points, which is really a good deal, I think. I actually did order this one this morning, or invested the points, whatever you may call it. But depending on where you live, you have also a couple of very interesting discounts going on. So I think the Ghost and Phantom 2 are the most interesting one. You can get this one over here in Europe for around 119 bucks. Again, that includes even tax. So that is a pretty good deal because it is an exclusive set. But even the Captain America shield, if you count in double insiders points, I think this is also a pretty good deal. So there are several good ones. I did link them here. However, I mean, if you look, for instance, at the Ghost and go to the US store, there's actually no discount. In fact, as far as I can tell, the US looks the worst. My guess is because Lego, I assume, did this to counter the Amazon Prime days, and I guess this is not an issue in the US right now. So that is my guess. But so they have this thing going on in the US as well. But the discounts are not that interesting, especially the Ghost is not in here. But of course, you also have the candy store and a few other benefits as well. I mean, the Atari 2600 is reduced, the Mermaid, Royal Clamshell, and a few other sets. But the very interesting one, like the Captain America shield, I think is not in here, and the Ghost not as well. So not that interesting, I do believe. But double insiders points, I, for instance, did buy a ton of BlueBrixx stuff this morning. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to a couple of reading recommendations. I did publish a review on the Fantasy G-Pattern XT review. No, I did not publish on a review. I did a review on the Fantasy G-Pattern XT. Oh my god, that is a mouthful. Actually, if you're not familiar with G-Pattern, I think that is the brand name. Actually, I did some research on that, and I had a couple of problems to figure this all out. As for instance, who this brand belongs to or who has the trademark on it. I did some background work on this, and I couldn't really figure it out. My understanding is that US Specialty Vehicles is doing this Rhino XT, and Pattern is the brand that they use in China. That is my understanding. So Fantasy is a Chinese brand, so it did make sense that they chose it. And from my point of view, this is the Rhino XT, but in the Chinese variant. However, I cannot say if this is really that different. Anyhow, I did review this one. It was a review copy that was sent to me by Fantasy. I really liked it. However, there's a ton of blue pins in there, so that is on the, let's say, that is a counter argument, and I do believe it is a big issue. Also, the technique itself is not that well thought through, so I had some problems with the wheels touching basically the chassis, stuff like that, and there's also not a lot of function there. However, it is a very small set, but everything that you see here is printed. There is only one sticker in there, and this basically for the engine. Everything else that you see, including all the Technic panels, is all pad printed, and this is really amazing. Everything that you see on the inside here, just remember the Lego stickers a second ago. All of this is pad printed, so this is amazing. However, I don't know, let me know what you think in the comment section, but I can't live with all the blue pins, so I don't know why everybody's copying that from Lego. It's not a good thing to have blue pins. Piece quality is amazing, it's BlueBrixx, so yeah, pretty cool set. However, it's not really a bargain. It's $50 US in Fantasy's own Amazon store. So yeah, maybe that could be a good idea to wait for Prime Days to buy this bad boy. But it's a good and thought through design. The pad prints are amazing. The design itself is cool. Not many functions. Maybe a bit high on the price side. Again, depends on who you compare this with. Compared to Lego, it's quite okay. And then my biggest issue are the bazillion blue pins, and then, or Technic axles, whatever you might call it. Anyhow, with that, we're moving on to a review that I did on the AV7, the anti-vehicle cannon from Star Wars. This is actually a brick-walled MOC, so this is a MOC review. It is minifigure scale, as the name suggests, and the picture here shows. And for those of you not familiar with this one, this is basically the cannon, and this is the variant or the reference that pretty sure the brick wall designer took, because this is the only time we really, I mean, we saw this thing 2 times in Clone Wars, on the ground. This was the one, and the other one was the second Battle of Geonosis. And I think the best limbs we got in this episode here. So actually, I'm pretty sure these are the pictures that were used for the mock. Actually, these cannons were also used on the Venator. So you could also get limbs on them over here in Bad Batch when they were in these old like skeleton Venator. But anyhow, I did build this one. It was a cool experience. It's a pretty cool mock. My biggest complaint is that the brick walled part list is not really helping you out by means of figuring out which pieces you can later on see. Basically, everything in the part list is in light bluish gray, dark bluish gray, and black, which in many cases are not really cheap colors. And in fact, you can save a ton of money by using whatever color you want in the areas where you don't see it. The problem is the list is not helping you here. Other designers, I don't know, give all of these pieces the color pink so that you basically know, okay, this is stuff where I can just get something out from my collection. Color doesn't matter. They are not doing this, which can make the piece. The amount that you have to pay for the pieces are quite high. I think if you go all out, okay, I buy everything, I buy it the way it is in the list, and I buy it on Bricklink, and it has to be Lego and has to be new, then I think you're like $150 of one of these, which is quite high. However, using my collection, basically working through the list, I think I managed to get this down to like $30-40, which is quite cool. I actually built 2 of these. And also in some areas, I did not exactly follow the instructions and I used different pieces because I just had them on hand. So with all that, this is how my cannon looked. For instance, here I didn't have tile 2x2 round in black. So that's why I used dark bluish gray, which I think is not perfect, but looks okay. Or I used these small panels here. I think there was a different design. Basically as steps for the soldier to move up, or for the pilot, or for the cannoneer, whatever you might call it. So I used different pieces here as well in order to save a little bit of money because I just had them on hand. Anyhow, it is a pretty cool cannon. It looks amazing. It's very authentic. It's truly minifigure scale. You can raise it. So I had a ton of fun with this one. It was a pretty cool mock. Kudos to Brickworld for putting this on their store. With that, we're moving on to mocks of the week, and here we have first the White Tower from BlueBrixx Fan U, which is amazing little thing. I think it is, they call it the Raven Knights Tower, so obviously we had one of these in the minifigure collector series like 5 years ago maybe. This is where the shield is coming from. Also over here in Europe, we have a company called BlueBrixx, and they are making amazing pet printed stuff, especially for castle enthusiasts. So if you're in the European area, I guess he's also shipping to the US, but it's basically like Clone Army Customs, but for castle stuff. So if you're into that, they do amazing work, and I think they also do some stuff for the Raven Knights. But if you want to basically have this theme as well. But I also really like the mock here by BlueBrixx Fan U, $12 for 1,213 pieces mock. The instructions is fine, and it looks pretty nice. It has a coherent design to Lion Knight's castle, in my point of view, and it just looks beautiful. Amazing stuff by BlueBrixx Fan U. With that, we're moving on to an Italian village in Tavernellos, by Tavernellos. 9,230 pieces is huge. However, I'm pretty sure this could also be interesting instructions just to buy them and, to basically copy a couple of these buildings, or build a couple of these buildings, or copy a couple of building techniques. In general, I've just been to Venice a couple of months ago, and this is exactly, not Venice itself, I would say, the city, but the region. There's multiple towns in that area who look exactly like this. I mean, I'm back on vacation right now. It feels like. And yeah, I really like the design. I think, it's in some areas it is a simple design, right? It's not too much, it's not magic in here, so to say, but I think the theme is coming across. Really like this design. And like I said, it feels like I'm almost back on vacation again. And then we have the Coruscant Grand Temple Steps, a minifigure display by Ed by Bricks, 3,290 pieces. He's only asking for $4 Australian, which is not much. My understanding is always from Australian YouTubers I follow that their own dollars are not much worse compared to others. No, that's not, of course, entirely wrong. It's just exchange rate. My understanding is $4 Australian, or less than $4 US. But honestly, to be honest, I do not know. But long story short, the reason I picked this one is because I really like the concept. I mean, I personally am also did the felony of just throwing my minifigure. I mean, I built kind of a custom stand for my minifigures, like for my Clone Trooper collection and stuff. But I think this one here is much cooler, right? And still, at the same time, it's still simple. I mean, obviously, this thing is very enormous, but I mean, it just stands for an idea, right? That, okay, of course, in a perfect world, you have an awesome diorama for like every minifigure, right? You have something like Legos dioramas where, let's say, every 3 minifigures get their own diorama, but of course, I mean, this will take like forever. The option 2 is you just throw them on a shelf, and there's a middle ground, I do believe, and this is what I see here, and this is like a mock, but a simple one. And one that scales, and I think this is the idea behind this one, and it looks really, really cool. And yeah, this could be an amazing way to present your army or your minifigures in general. I mean, it's just it's steps basically, right? So you can put on this whatever you want. With that, we're moving on to the Lion Knight's High Tower by the BlueBrixx, a 9,330 parts mock, and he's giving this away for free. However, keep in mind this is just an IO file, not a PDF. So basically no real instructions, but nevertheless, I really like the design. I mean, it looks amazing. It's completely modular. I mean, look at all these different shapes. And still, at least it feels like quite robust because it's built traditional brick build. It feels very similar to Lion Knight's Castle. Of course, it took a lot of, let's say, inspiration from Lion Knight's Castle, but it's basically an enormous tower. And because towers are always cool. I mean, wizards are living in towers, so it must be cool, and it looks absolutely amazing. Remembers me a little bit of this enormous castle that Sir Percival has done, like the designer here on Rebrickable, and also he has a YouTube channel. So he did this behemoth like with 200,000 pieces, but the idea was the same. Highly modular, very detailed, very castle themed, but on steroids, and I think this is what I see here as well. It is marked as a modification because when you throw in Lion Knight's Castle and the medieval town square, you get a lot of the, you're basically pretty good along the way when it comes to getting all the pieces. However, as the designer says here, there is a lot of stuff that you need in addition, but a beautiful design. Moving on to another beautiful design by Brickchester, the medieval city of Ravenscale, Smelly Outskirts. $42, that's quite on the pricey side, but it is a beautiful design. Actually, I did like a medieval castle mock larger than this one, but anyhow, I did one, and I was really struggling to get these muddy roads in quotes that they had during this time, right? I mean, the Romans built amazing roads, but during the medieval times, everything was awful, like over here in Europe, and muddy and everything. So I was trying to get muddy roads done, or a muddy marketplace in this case, and I failed miserably because I just threw too many pieces in there and was, I don't know, it was like a bazillion pieces, but still would not really bring across what I wanted. And I think this one here is a very simple technique using wedge plates, and it works, however, as I would argue, quite well. This thing feels dirty and muddy, and the designer is not using many pieces for that. As far as I can tell, these are like 4 individual mocks. However, as far as I can tell on his account, you have to buy them individually. There are modules for other stuff, like this one here. No, this is also that big. So I don't know. It is a cool account. There is cool stuff, but I would really prefer if the designer would split this thing into 4 maybe, and then you can buy the individual pieces, because $42 is quite high actually. With that, we're moving on to an amazing collection of stuff from MunichBricks Design. I mean, I'm a huge fan of this designer. I mean, I was a huge fan for all these Christmas mocks that the designer did. And by the way, he has, as far as I can tell, also a very cool Instagram account where sometimes he's also throwing out the instructions more or less for free, or just putting videos in how it's built. But I think, yeah, these are worth every penny. Like, for instance, this one here, the Tavern packs 768 pieces, and the instruction is $10, because these things, I don't know, they are simple, but they look beautiful. It's simply well designed, and yeah, I'm a huge fan. Great and amazing mock. With that, we are done for this week. I do hope you like the show. Wherever you listen to or watch this, please leave a like, comment, rate, subscribe, follow, whatever it is called on the platform of your choice. As always, YouTube is the platform, but I will see that I push out the video both also on Spotify as well as TikTok. And in addition, of course, we have audio versions on every major podcast platform. With that, thanks for listening. See you next week.